guys, welcome to Finish Desserts View YouTube channel. So today we're going to be learning how to bake up a super delicious orange chocolate cake recipe. This is an herb-based cake recipe that is incredibly easy to make, despite the fact that it is so delicious and not overly sweet. So let's go straight into the point now. But before, as always, before I go ahead with giving you the recipe, I'll let you know the dynamics and the things to watch out for to make sure you end up with a good result all the time. First of all, for you to work with the cocoa powder, that is a major ingredient in this recipe, you have to make sure that it is the natural processed cocoa powder as seen here. This is the natural processed cocoa powder, not the Dutch processed cocoa powder. Now this are both cocoa powders, but they serve different purposes. Okay, for you to have the exact texture, not too heavy, you need the natural processed cocoa powder. This is what I'm going to be using for this recipe. And then for the orange juice, I always make sure that I use my freshly squeezed orange juice, because I'm a bit skeptical about the store-bought packed ones, because I'm not sure about the sugar content, because I need 100% orange juice that has no sugar added in this recipe. So that is what I have here. Okay, and then for the milk that is going to aid the moisture is a very major ingredient. You have to make sure that you're using the buttermilk, not just any milk. I have a video up on my channel where I already talked about the substitute for buttermilk. That is the combination of the white vinegar and the evaporated milk. That is if you don't have access to the one that is store-bought, or if it is a bit too expensive for you, you can do the homemade substitute. I have that, so you can check for that. Then again, you have to use granulated sugar. You cannot use caster sugar because of the heaviness, so you have to use not heaviness, because of the smooth texture. You don't want your cake result to be dense, so you have to use the granulated sugar that is having the grains that would aid the fluffy texture. And then as well, of course, you're going to be using baking powder, any good brand, baking soda, and the salt. Vanilla, just a slight bit of it, because of course vanilla flavor is always welcome in any recipe. You are going to be needing room temperature water, just a little bit, half cup of this, as well as the half cup of the orange juice. And then you're going to be needing two good sized eggs. You're going to be using this, which is optional. I use it because it aids the lifespan of the last but not the least ingredient in this recipe, being the all-purpose flour. You have to make sure that when you are measuring this out, you are not just scooping directly from the sauce and just pouring in to make up 1 cup. You have the tendency of using more than the needed quantity, and then you end up with a cake that is dry or heavy. So what you're going to be using is the spooning and leveling technique. That is, you take the 1 cup. For instance, it requires 1 cup and then 3/4 cups. Okay, so what you'll be doing is you take 1 cup, one cup of your measuring cup. You spoon in the flour using any other thing, a spoon, another smaller cup. Spoon it until it gets to a heap, and then you shake off the excess to have a leveled surface. And then you repeat the same process. Even if you're using the 3/4 cup, that is using 1/4 cups 3 times, you repeat the same process 3 times to make up what you need, so that you are just you just have the exact measurement of what you need, and then you end up with the perfect recipe and the perfect texture. So right now I will give you the full run of the measurements to make this really very fast, so you should listen carefully so that we can then go to the practical aspect. Note that this recipe can actually fly even if you don't use an electric mixer, and that's another plus for you, because you just basically need to sieve out the dry ingredients and set apart, and then add the wet ingredients into it. This time around, you're even going to be adding the sugar into the dry ingredients, so that gets well blended, and then it helps you not to have to use an electric mixer if you don't have one in handy. So let's go right into it now. So for the ingredients, you're going to be using 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour. I already have that measured, spooned and leveled like I said. You're going to be needing 1.5 cup of granulated sugar. So what I'm going to do now, make it faster. Once I mention an ingredient, I'm going to be adding it into the measurement. So right now we're going to be using the sugar, adding it into the flour. Make sure you get an aerated sieve like this to make sure that you can see the sugar too. This incorporates air as well. So this is the sugar here, and the sugar quantity is 1.5 cups of granulated sugar. That is it here. So I'm going to be pouring that in now, and I'm just going to be quickly sieving it over the flour that I already pre-measured to save up some time, as seen here. All other ingredients go in as well. So we're going to be needing 3/4 cups of the unsweetened cocoa powder. That is what we're using now. This one, sorry. So what you're going to be doing to achieve your 3/4 is to simply get 1/4 cup here and repeat the measurement 3 times to make up the 3/4. It's not going to end up being 3/12 or something. Okay, it's just a higher number that is more important. So this is the first cup, you know, being 1/4. That's that. Doing that 3 times very quickly. I most deliberately did not do this ahead of time because I wanted to really practicalize this. So yeah, 3/4 goes right in now as same, set aside. Okay, before I add anything, let me add everything. And then we are going to be using 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, already all pre-measured here. So I need to just add all of this into it now. Let me just get it to make sure everything goes in. And then what I'll do now is just to give it a quick sifting to make sure that everything is well incorporated. Now, when I do that, because of the grease and the sugar, you can have a bit of particles, set it apart, and then just give it a quick, mix. And then note one thing again, let me just digress a little bit, okay? When you are working with your pan for this particular recipe, you must actually butter your pan and then go ahead to line it with the parchment paper. Trust me when I tell you that, yeah, it might seem a bit painstaking, sorry, but that is what is going to be worth it for you. You don't really want to work with any cake recipe and then end up with a cake that is not going to come out. So what you're going to do now is to make sure you fry it and then line it with parchment to ensure that it doesn't break or stick to the pan, because it's actually a very soft recipe. So next up now is, after adding the dry ingredients as thin now, then the oil you're going to be using I need to talk about that. You can use the olive oil, you can use the vegetable oil, you can as well use the canola oil. For me, I always use the vegetable oil, one, because it's very versatile and it is easily accessible and it is quite affordable. So that is what I'm going to be using now. That is what we have here now. So what I'm going to be doing now is to get the bowl that I'm going to be using for mixing, to just avoid having to repeat myself. Let me set this aside. Okay, so this is the bowl I'm using to mix. So what I'm going to be doing now, okay, let me just give you the quick one anyways. So what you're going to be needing now is the half cup of the vegetable oil. It goes right in here. 2 eggs I showed you earlier. 3 teaspoons of orange extract or orange liqueur. I'm using orange liqueur here. You're going to be using 1 cup of buttermilk. You're going to be using half cup of the freshly squeezed orange juice I said earlier. And then you're going to be using half cup of water, as well as 1 teaspoon of vanilla flavor. So like I said, now what I'll just do is to add all of this together very quickly to make it faster, so I won't be repeating myself. So here, like I said, the oil goes in now. The oil is going in now. The eggs will go in no particular order anyway. Basically add up the dry ingredients. Basically just prepare the dry ingredients separately and then the wet ingredients separately. Whisk this together with a wire whisk. That's what I'm going to be doing. The only time you might want to use up the only time you might want to use up the mixer is when you want to incorporate the flour into it to make sure that everything is well blended. But like I said, if you don't have access to that, you can go ahead to fry it without it. So here, this is the water. It goes in as well. This is the milk, the buttermilk goes in as well. Okay. Right. This is the orange juice. Half cup of this goes in as well. And then 3 teaspoons of this. I hope I'm very correct. Yeah, I said so. 3 teaspoons. That is 1 teaspoon 3 times of the orange liqueur. Like I said, if you don't want to use the orange liqueur, please feel free to use the orange extract, just like the vanilla extract. So I have the first one, I have the second, and then I have the third one. And then I'm going to be putting the vanilla flavor as well. Just 1 teaspoon. Remember, this is just to enhance the flavor. Nothing more, nothing significant, but you might want to make sure you include it. So That's 1 teaspoon of that. So at this point now, all you need to do is, if you're using your electric mixer, set this together and get it quickly mixed together. But if not, just get your wire whisk. Give this a quick mix. Ask them like this, very quickly, just like that. Okay? And then you go ahead to add your dry ingredients. Sometimes I add once or twice depending on the volume I'm making, but today I'll just add in 2 additions just to make sure that it's all well incorporated. Okay, so when you do that, get this whisked together. And don't forget to preheat your oven to the mark of 180 as always. And you are baking this up for just 25 minutes depending on the depth of your pan. So it could be between 25 to 30 minutes at the maximum, or at least until you insert your toothpick or your tester into the center and it comes out squeaky clean, not with any butter or any particles. It will come out squeaky clean. Alright, so that's what we have now. You see, I didn't have to use my mixer. So if you want to whip this up and you don't have electricity, or for some reason you don't want to use up your electricity, feel free to use the hand mixer, because it's an oil-based recipe really, so it's not so hard. Don't be surprised that the quantity of the oil is a little and you seem like it's not going to be moist. Trust me, the presence of the freshly squeezed orange juice gives it good moisture, and then of course the oil. All right, and then that's it basically, and of course the buttermilk, like I said earlier. So talking moisture is not only about the oil. Buttermilk is important here, orange juice is important here, and the orange juice is important here, buttermilk is important here. All right, and then the oil of course here. So we're done mixing now. Look at what the consistency looks like. See, really nice. You will agree with me that it is really fast to make. So this is the pan already prepared. What I'll do now is just to pour all of it in now. Give it a gentle tap a few times, a couple of times, 2 to 3 times. Make sure that all of the air pockets is gotten rid of. Pop this into the oven for 25 minutes, like I said, on the mark of 180 degrees centigrade, and then I'll be back when it's ready. Note that when it is ready, you are not going to take it out from the pan immediately because of the tender texture. You have to wait till it cools almost completely, say about 10 to 15 minutes before you flip it out and then tear off the parchment paper from the sides of it. Our batter is ready now, and then I'm going to be pouring into the pan. Now this is an 8-inch pan, just a single pan. Pour it all in now. So what I'm going to be doing is just to reserve a little bit to pour in a smaller pan to illustrate and to show you the texture that it ends up turning, coming out with when I cut when we're done with the video. So right now, tap it up on the bottom, counter take it a few times like this, and then take it into the oven. I'll be back to show you when it's ready. So welcome back, guys. So our orange chocolate cake is ready and it's so perfectly baked. So look at what it looks like. See, it's so amazing that it has turned darker. The batter was lighter, but the result is just the perfect color. This is the sample I made from the same batter. So what I'm going to do now is just to turn this over so that we can see what it looks like on the flip side, and then we'll quickly run by cutting through this and see what the inside looks like. So it's still a bit heated, that's why I'm flipping it with the kitchen napkin. So look at what it looks like. See, can you already see? Super moist and all of that. So all you need to do is just to carefully tear off the parchment. You can do it either before flipping back or at this point. So to get to see it clearly, I will just flip it right back again. Yeah, and then take out any excess. Now see what it looks like. Perfectly baked, right? Yeah. So the second one now, I'll repeat because this is smaller, so yeah, just go one time. Same thing I did. Can you see how easy peasy this is? Perfect. So now what we're doing, I'm going to be cutting through this so that we can see what it looks like on the inside. So as always, I'll just take it from the center or near the center. Let's see. Yeah. And here, look at how amazing this looks. Can you see how so moist but still very, fluffy in texture? It's not dense, it's not soggy, it's just very perfect. Look at it again. So wouldn't you rather try this out? So guys, this is going to be all for today. I hope that you learned something. I hope you're going to be trying this out. So this isn't even just significant with bakers only. You can try this in your home with your kids or anything. Just make sure to try it out, and I would be waiting patiently for your reviews and feedbacks and comments and the likes of it. And as always, if you found this video helpful, do me well to give me a super thanks using the icon below, the super thanks, and it will lead you to how you can actually just appreciate your favorite baker girl for for this, if you indeed find it helpful. Till next time guys, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on this channel, share with your family, friends and your acquaintances, and stay close. Let's continue to build a network in our little community here. So till next time, I remain your favorite girl, your favorite baker girl, famous dessert girl. Till next time guys, bye bye.